String seems to be holding up just fine. My old trimmer was a bump out. This is nice that you don't have to think about it. Then you angle your handle depending on where you need to be.
Yep. Oh, now you're edging.
And you're edging.
What's happening? Barnaby here. So you want to know more about the Greenworks 24-volt lithium-ion string trimmer and edger? I can tell you it's got a 4-year warranty. Comes with one battery that they say goes about 40 minutes and charge time about 90 minutes. We're going to talk to Rick about how that factored into his world of trimming his yard. As far as note-taking purposes, just in case you ever wondered, how fast does that string actually go around under the hood? In this case, 9,000 RPMs. So let's talk about it, Rick. You used it to work in your yard, so I want you to tell me now about the performance, the design, what you like and don't like about the way this thing adjusts and feels, also the quality. After having used it, do you think it's going to hold up? And lastly, if some neighbor popped their head over the hedge and said, should I buy one of those? What would your answer be? But before we get to that, let's talk about you. What do you do?
I am an educator here in Grand Rapids, avid lawnsman.
Avid?
Avid.
Like every week?
In the summer, it's every 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man with some time on his hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then let's talk about how big your yard is.
Slightly above average city lot.
Okay, and so when you were doing this, how did it work for you?
I deal mostly with trimming and edging,
Okay.
being in the city. It handled the trimming without incident. You know, I made my way around the yard as I normally would.
Right.
Converted to the edger, along the sidewalk, driveway, did the trick.
Well, you know, just because a lot of people don't do their lawn every 3 days, you're probably cutting like this much off every time, right? So let's talk about, did you get into any heavy stuff?
Well, truth be told, if you saw my water bill, you'd know I had more than that much every 3 days. But
Okay.
just because we were concerned about that, I went to the next door neighbors, found an area that was a little longer than I'm used to, and it ripped right through it. Debris was flying.
Okay, and then the neighbor yelled at you and you went back
Well,
to
they
your
did come
property.
out. They did come out. But
They did. Okay, so then let's talk about the design of it, because you know it does the flip from trim to edging, and it's got some adjustability here. So take me through it from this way down.
I will. You know, at first look, I was concerned that it looked a little too complicated. But once you get it adapted to your stature and your frame, you're good to go. Nice ergonomic handle here that adjusts with just simply a toggle.
Okay.
And you've got lots of movement up and down depending on your height.
Put your arm where you want
Yep,
it.
you decide, clamps it down, you're good to go. Batteries in, and you're good to trim.
Okay, and then you can also adjust the shaft, it looks like, huh?
Correct.
Okay. Nice. All right, so let's talk about the business end down there. I saw you flip something. Tell me about the adjustability down there.
You know, my first look, I thought this is complicated, but it turned out not so.
Right.
2 buttons, that's all.
Okay.
First button where you see my thumb
Yep.
allows you to determine the angle
Really?
for your trimmer,
Yeah.
depending on where you're going.
Okay, and then what about the other button you were speaking of?
The other button is when you convert to an edger.
Yeah.
That button is the gray button on top.
Yeah.
Then you angle your handle depending on where you need to be.
Yep. Oh, now you're edging.
And you're edging.
Well, let's talk about that. You have an edger, right?
Correct.
Okay, and so how did this one work versus your dedicated edger?
Well, my dedicated edger is a corded edger. So obviously that's going to be a little bit of a different feel,
Yeah.
a little bit different weight.
Right.
But this did the job.
Okay, and so let's talk about use of string, because you know that's what a lot of people say. They go, the thing I don't like about it is, you know, it just goes through the string. Did this one hold up? You only used it how many times?
A few times, a few
Okay.
times. String seems to be holding up just fine. My old trimmer was a bump out. This is nice that you don't have to think about it.
Okay, and again, referring to the literature, what they say is that every time you start and stop this thing, it's going to advance it 1/4 of an inch. So I guess you just let it kind of go and it'll save on string, right?
That's true. That is true.
Now, let's talk about battery life, because a lot of people think, oh, you know, I like the cord because I don't have to just worry about the battery. How many times did you trim and how much juice do you have left?
Nice little tester on the end. We got 3 out of 4 left, and that's after about, I'd say 28, 30 minutes.
Okay, you know, that's interesting because they
Yeah.
say it goes about 40, so I guess you did a lot of stopping and
A
starting.
lot of stopping and starting, yeah.
Okay, let's get into the world of quality. You know, when tool testers come up here, a lot of times the word plastic comes up, right? So I guess let's talk about that momentarily. Do you have any concerns about the construction of this and the componentry, and do you think it's going to hold up under normal usage?
Well, you know, I think that's kind of an old sentiment. You know, where plastic was sort of a scary thing initially. People wanted the old metal. You know, I don't have any reason other than if I dropped it on the sidewalk from a height, I don't see a problem.
Yeah, and I guess when in the world are you going to get to an unreasonable height with a string trimmer?
Well, if you're trimming at a height, there's a bigger question involved there.
Yeah, that's an OSHA issue right there. Okay, and I guess for quality too, for just record keeping, I was reading the literature and it comes with a 4-year warranty on that, okay? So let's talk about the value. Would you buy it? Would you recommend somebody else buy it?
You know what? Slightly more expensive than the current trimmer that I have at home, also a cordless.
Yeah.
But because you've got the capability to turn it into the edger,
Yeah.
you're really 2 tools in one.
Right.
Seems like a much better value in that regard.
Okay, so thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Okay, just had to do that because that's how we do things here at Tool Select. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's all about knowing what you're getting into when you buy something. We like to kind of do a little bit of the legwork for you by putting it into the hands of tool testers so they can figure out all those things and tell you. But of course, if you want more information, become a member of toolselect.com, ask questions of the community. It's all free to do and you can get a well-rounded look at which tool is right for you.